Today's lesson is how to draw the inside of a room using one-point perspective. Okay, so the first step is to draw the back wall. That's what we're looking straight at. And you want to draw it fairly small because that will allow you to have a larger room size. Okay, so I'm going to start with a rectangle. To represent the back wall of the room. And I'm going to go ahead and just put the X near the middle for this one. And, okay, so step number 1, draw the side you're looking at. That's the back wall. Step number 2, go to the X from your corners. So reminder, you align your straight edge from the X through the corner. And one more. So that's the basic step that you do to do the interior of any space. So while I'm saying this is a room, you would do the same thing to show the inside of a freezer or the inside of a box. Remember, learning skills is also thinking about how you can apply these for other things. Okay, so at this point, what I would like to do is I would like to put a tiled floor down. So what we want to do is to be able to do a whole bunch of squares on the floor. And so we need to do a little bit of math to make sure this works out correctly. So what we're going to do is find the middle, find the middle, find the middle in order to get all the lines at the back of the floor. Okay, so again, keep yours really light because these are blocking lines. So if I go like this, go straight up and down, I've now divided it in half this way. And I'm going to continue to do that. So I'm going to erase my lines as I go. If you keep them light enough, you don't have to do that part. So now I'm going to divide this part. And that's going to give me divided in half again. Come straight down. So I've now divided the back wall into 4 equal spaces. And now what I want to do is divide each of those again in order to let me have 8. And I need to make sure I have my lines. Okay, one more time. So I'm constantly just going from one corner to the next to find where those lines cross in order to divide everything. And then I'm drawing a line straight up and down. So now I have equal sections in order to start the floor. Okay, so now we're just going to go from each of these points back to the X. So just like when we did the end of the wall and the floor, we went from the corner to the X. Now we're going to do the same thing, only we're going to go from this dot Again, this is my X, it's this one right there. From the middle of the X through to the dot. And let's do it for each one of them. Remember, every single line has to go back to that X. You know it's working when everything's smaller at the back and it's getting larger at the front. That's the whole point of our space and depth unit, is to learn all the techniques that artists use to create that illusion of things being close and things being far away. So talking about transferable skills, I said right now we're starting to do floor, but you can imagine already this could be a bowling alley. This could be how you would start the inside of a swimming pool, and these would be the lanes for the swimmers that are racing. Again, transferable skills. While we're drawing, what else could we do with these things? Okay, so for the next part of this, we need to put the horizontal lines down. And there's this really great trick that allows you to progressively have them get smaller. And here's the trick. Starting in the back corner, you're going to draw a diagonal line. Now, where you draw the diagonal line will determine the size of the tiles. I usually just kind of go from one corner to sort of the other corner. So I'm just going to go like this. Remember, that's a blocking line, so you can keep it really light. And what happens is once you put that diagonal line in, so if I went from the back corner to where the front corner would be, approximately, this line will now allow you to have the exact math of those tiles going back. Okay, so here's what you do. Starting in the back corner, come down your diagonal till the first time the lines intersect, draw a line straight across. And then I'm going to keep going. So I'm going to come down that diagonal till the second time it crosses my line. Come down the diagonal, here's my next line. And as with everything else you do in perspective, as long as everything's getting larger as it comes closer, you're probably doing it right. But if at any time things aren't increasing in scale as they come closer to you, you need to stop because something's not correct with your technique. This is why I really like perspective. The day I figured out this line thing was great. Before that, I always just had to guess what I was doing. It was always wrong. I was always erasing, starting over again. All right, and I have one more right here. How easy is that? So, and again, imagine the transferable skills. This could be how you draw a chessboard. It's not only just tiles. Let me just rotate my page. Right? I can take the same thing and turn it this way, and all of a sudden it's windows in an industrial building. Of course, we put it this way, now it's ceiling tiles. So many skills, drawings can be done with this skill. The other thing to remember is single lines are okay when you're first learning, but to make stuff look cool, I'm going to go ahead, let's just take one or two of them over here and make them double lines. So I'm not going to worry too much about the math of it all. I'm just going to double this line, double this line. Remember, they should get a little wider as they come towards you. And let's just double this one and this one. And you can see how much more interesting the whole thing would be. If you were doing tiles, they would have spaces between them. If these were ceiling tiles, they would have spaces between them. You can also take it up another notch and make it even more three-dimensional. If I do this, if I go back in this corner and I go straight down, and come back this way. And then go straight across at the back. Now I'm creating a recessed pane or tile. So in this case, you can imagine if I did something like this, how it could end up being like a ceiling tile. Or if I do it this way, it's a shelf. This is exactly the same technique that we did to do the window in the earlier drawings of the house. Okay, I'm going to stop right there for now. The next lesson will be to start adding some furniture in the room. And for that, I'm just going to use the same drawing for the next lesson, and I'm just going to turn the piece of paper upside down. Right, but take a minute or two to figure out how to get grids to work, because once you do these, you can use them for so many things, and we will continue to use them in these lessons.